Here. This will be heat race number 1. 3 laps around. Group time trials here at Eldora. The best time will put them into heat. The inversion will be 4. So if you're a little bit of a gambler, like to sandbag just to touch, we'll see if you can get yourself on the front row. The bad news in the equation, if you miss it, you'll be back in row number 3. So the veteran Rick Monroe up on the perch here. Rob Penrod on race control here at the Eldora Speedway. So buzz on the racetrack here. Believe, we'll see. If they get extra laps, they may. Those are looking on the big screen. That's Cody Swanson. There's Zach Lamb, the 73, from a regular down at the Lawrenceburg Speedway. So far, looks like Max Adams of the Harry. Nope, now Mason Pursley goes to the top. We'll see if Rick gets the white flag out. Nope, he'll go yellow, so. Just buzzing the track in right now. We'll slow him down, take a couple laps to wheel pack from the middle and top. That'll usually pick up the track about 3/10 out of the gate. Mason Pursley right now is 17.777, quickest there in that warm-up session. Got Max Adams in the 21, as mentioned, making his first start in the Harrier machine. Trey Osborne in the 6T. Zach Lamb, the 73. Derek Hastings, 33M. Cody Swanson, the 9X, the 2DI. Dustin Engel and Austin Corey in the 00 will be the 8 drivers here in group number 1. So Mother Nature's been pretty fickle here in the state of Ohio. No rain here at Eldora Speedway since about 6 o'clock this morning. So the track is in great shape. Sounds like drivers being instructed over the one-way radio system here at Eldora that they will get ready to go for a 3-lap qualifying session. Once again, inversion is 4 for the heat here this evening. For those on the grounds here, race monitor is up. Sounds like we're going to go green next time by on Trey Osborne's 6. So Trey been fighting a little motor gremlins with that machine this season. Talked to him a little bit earlier. Feels like he's got that Mopar somewhat straightened out. He's excited to stretch the legs here out. For the driver out of Columbus, Ohio, we go green. And session number 1 on the clock here at Eldora. Everybody, for the most part, use the middle of the speedway. So Osborne and the 6T will be the first driver to come by. He'll stop the clock at a 17.301. Take a look as the first lap cycle through here. Max Adams now. 16.961. Mason Pursley now 16.828. White flag in the air. So Pursley, Adams, Lamb, Osborne right now. Let's hit the inversion. With that 4th spot, Cody Swanson, 5th. Now Swanson. No stranger to the Eldora Speedway, especially Silver Crown action. Rick Monroe's got the checkered flag out here. We're wrapping up Group 1, Heat 1 here at the Jack Hewitt Challenge, presented by Rosewood Machine and Wisebridge Wealth Management. And Mason Pursley, the Oklahoma racer in the 86, goes 16.341. Max Adams second quick in the 21, 16.815. Trey Osborne, the 16th, third quick, 16.822. Zach Lamb sneaks that last lap in, hits the invert. He'll be on the pole, 16.886 in the 73. Cody Swanson, 5th quick, 9X, 16.923. Dustin Engel, the 2DI, 17.130. Derek Hastings, 17.235. And Austin Corey, 17.242. We'll round up Group 1, Heat 1 in the books. Getting ready to go with Group 2, Heat 2 here in just a second. And Group 2 getting ready to roll out onto the famed Eldora Speedway. Looks like first driver leading the charge, the Wapakoneta, Ohio veteran, the 33. That's going to be Mike Miller. Fellow Buckeye racer, the youngster out of Cincinnati, Ohio. That'll be Saban Bybit in the 98. The one machine, that's Ryland Gray out of Greenfield, Indiana. White machine with the black tail tank, the 2025 Little 500 Rookie of the Year. Picked up his first career Kokomo win last fall, the Darlin Classic. So a driver that has been showing a lot of speed here lately. A USAC National Sprint Car Rookie of the Year winner last year out of Bloomington, Indiana, will be Hunter Maddox in the 24M. Another second-generation racer here down the front straightaway, Frankfort, Indiana's Jack Hoyer in the 11. Jack picking up his first career win at the Lincoln Park Speedway earlier this season. Out of Russia, Ohio, that's Bryce Dews in the 23D, graduate of the D2 Midgets. And Cale Coons out of Greencastle in that famed dueling 63 makes his Eldora debut. Of course, his father, the Hall of Famer Jerry Coons in the 63. Brian Ruhlman, Clark Lake, Michigan's 49, the winningest driver in the history of the modified division here at the Eldora Speedway. Has expanded his racing palette even more. Been running with a wing on Saturdays up at the Butler Speedway. So Silver Crown, modifieds, late models, wing sprint cars, non-wings. Ruhlman's got a little bit of everything under his belt. And Group 2 will get the green, so the racetrack should be tip-top, so we should go 3 laps here. So we'll see a couple of youngsters to keep an eye on in this one. Jack Hoyer in the family car splits his time between that and the Hazen 57. See what Cale Coons can do. Ryland Gray should be quick in the one car here as well. And Saban Bybit, a lot of laps around the Eldora Speedway and the 98. So we'll cycle through here. First session, looks like Hunter Maddox was quickest. The Bloomington, Indiana racer, and then it was Bybit, Ruhlman, and Mike Miller. See what guys can do on their second and third lap here. A little puff of smoke out of Bryce Dews' 23 machine. So Maddox still in P1 here in this session. Bybit jumps up to second, Gray third. Cale Coons right now on the bump. That's that 4th spot. And we'll see, that may pay off. So Group 2, Heat 2 of the books. Hunter Maddox, a good qualifying effort. The 24M goes 16.209. He's quickest. Saban Bybit, the 98, 16.303. Ryland Gray on the 1G, 16.311. How about it? Cale Coons going to be on the pole. Heat race number 2 at his Eldora debut, 16.564. Brian Ruhlman in the 49, 5th quick, 16.603. Mike Miller in the 33, 16.625. Jack Hoyer in 11, 16.712. And Bryce Dews, 17.580 in the 23D. So we roll into Group 3. This will be heat race number 3 as well. And looks like the driver leading the charge out of Fenton, Michigan. That'll be Steve Irwin in the black 0. Long time sprint car competitor with the wing and without the wing. And the second entry here for Hunter Maddox, that's Jake Scott out of Morgantown, Indiana. Very talented driver. A ton of wins over the last few years at the Paragon Speedway. Matt Westfall in the assignment number 23, right down the front straightaway as well. Pleasant Hill, Ohio veteran. Another driver, I believe, making his Eldora debut. That's Elwood, Indiana's Bo Brandon in the 21B. Also out there, out of West Harrison, Indiana, that'll be Nathan Carley in the 14C. Another Michigan racer with us here tonight. Out of Williamstown, Michigan, that'll be Max Frank in the 25. In North Star, Ohio's Brian Heatkamp in the 22. And I believe Corbin Hazlett scheduled to go, the big dog, right here down the front straightaway. Out of Troy, Ohio, picked up his first career win at the Butler Speedway earlier this summer. So him and his dad been campaigning that 1H machine for about 5 years in and around the Midwest. Gonna look at Hazlett up on the big screen. So Rick's got the green flag. 3 laps around the Eldora Speedway. This will be Group 3, Heat 3. Let's keep an eye on a couple of quick ones here. Matt Westphal, Jake Scott. Both should have good qualifying efforts. Let's see what they can do. Again, everybody pretty much using the middle of the speedway for the most part. Cycle through here. Corbin Hazlett with a good lap, 16.060 his first time by. So flirting with the 15 seconds for the Troy, Ohio racer. A lot of laps here at the Eldora Speedway. USAC competition, and it's paying off here tonight. Backs it up. Checkered flag flies. Hazlett looks like he's gonna be the quickest so far. And Hazlett, 16.060, quickest in the 1H. How about Bo Brandon, the youngster in the 21, double B 16.321. Steve Irwin, 16.330. How about that veteran Matt Westphal? Hits the pole, 23 ASCoC 16.404. Nathan Carley, the 14C fifth quick, 16.476. Max Frank, the 25, 16.627. Jake Scott, the 24X, 16.776. And Brian Heatkamp in the double deuce, the 22, 16.901. So fourth and final group getting ready to roll out here on to the Eldora Speedway for the Jack Hewitt Challenge presented by Rosewood Machine and Wisebridge Wealth Management. Leading the charge, this young man picked up his first career win at the Montpelier Motor Speedway a couple weeks ago. To Piqua, Ohio, the 21B, it's Ryan Barr. Barr out in the 21B. Also out in group number 4 out of Goodyear, Arizona. That's Logan Calderwood in the 6 car. Logan been running a lot of the USAC shows. It was part of the Midget Week side for sprint car action as well. Flying the Hoffman colors out of Martinsville, Indiana, the 69. That will be Nick Bilby. Nick, a former winner here at the Eldora Speedway in boss competition. Behind him, always one of the winningest drivers in the country. Non-wing sprint cars, 11 feature wins headed into tonight's action. The driver out of Camarillo, California, that will be Ricky Lewis in the 41. Also out, Sean Westerfeld out of Guilford, Indiana in the 4J. Taking a look at the beautiful Ryan Barr Medway Manufacturing. There's the 4J, Westerfeld. That team's been branching out a little bit this year. Also out, the white 00. That'll be Noah Whitehouse out of Greenfield, Indiana. And the 83, Chance Crum out of Snohomish, Washington. And the 83, I believe, has taken residence in the Hoosier State for about 3, this is his 3rd season here with us, so. Looking for his first career feature win. So it looks like all 8 are out on the speedway. Make sure everybody's checking in here. There is Logan Calderwood in the MPE number 6. Dustin Weber out in the 9. Miss Dustin out of Goshen, Ohio. Graduate of the UMP Modifieds. So Rick's got the green. Here we go, Group 4, getting ready to roll out onto the speedway. Once again, version is 4. All-Star Circuit of Champion Hot Laps coming up next. 39 strong checking in here. Night number 5. Ohio Speedweek got one off the pace. Ricky Lewis, top side at turn number 2, has got some woes, and that's going to bring out the caution. So just glancing at the fence over in 1 and 2, does not look like Lewis got into the fence, but something amiss in the 41. So we'll take a look here. See if he ducks down pit road. He does not. Oh, right rear on that car is low. So it looks like the right rear is down. Not flat, but definitely not to optimal inflation in the 41, so tough break for Ricky Lewis. I got a feeling he will probably roll off from that 8th spot in heat race number 4. Some places you get away with a soft right rear Hoosier. This is not one of those facilities where that's going to be very comfortable. So no time for Ricky, so he will take the machine back to the crew. I'm pretty sure they'll bolt a fresh Hoosier on that one, get ready to go for heat number 4. He'll roll off 8th. So no laps scored. Rick's got the green out. 4th and final group time trial session here at Eldora. Hazlett quickest so far. We'll see if anybody dips down to that 15-second. And Sean Westerfeld, 15.889. So he gets down there in that 4th and final session. Rick's got the white flag out. So Westerfeld, the 4J goes 15.889. I believe Nick Bilby, 16.050. Ryan Barr, 16.185. I believe Logan Calderwood, a 16.316. Dustin Weber, 16.504. We'll check on Noah Whitehouse's 00. See if we can get a official time on him. Of course, no time for Ricky Lewis and Chance Crum. We'll see what we can get on that as well. But that will bring to a close group time trials here at the Eldora Speedway. Now it's time to bring in my broadcast partner. He's making his Eldora Speedway debut with the All-Star Circuit of Champions, and he's got a big smile on his face. He looks like he's ready to go. Welcome to Eldora, my friend.
Yeah, it was surreal, to say the least. Again, from Central PA, we have our tracks, but then there's Eldora. And it's one of those where I saw it on the schedule, and as soon as I did, I was excited to be here. A few Central PA guys made the trip out. We knew Danny Dietrich would be out here, but then Brock Searfoss, Dylan Norris, Michael Walter making the trip last minute here out, as well as Ryan Newton coming out as well. So a handful of new faces coming out, and a handful of new faces also to the All-Stars this season in full-time points, as well as first time this season or their career running with the All-Stars here tonight. We had 44 cars last night, and now 39 cars signed in for tonight's racing action. Again, this is the 43rd annual Ohio Speedweek. It's the Overwatch Precision Ohio Speedweek presented by Gill Construction, two great partners helping out with the richest Ohio Speedweek ever. 43 years, and it's the richest one. A huge thank you to Overwatch Precision and Gill Construction for their help in making this event and this Speed Week as prestigious as it is. The NAPA Auto Parts All-Star Circuit Champions presented by Valvoline and race cars hitting the track. On the front stretch from Fairland, Indiana in the Rudzik Excavating, Centerline Boring, Smith Titanium, Al Driveline, Berriman Racing Shocks, FK Roddins, the 49X, that's Cale Thomas. Behind Cale Thomas in the 101 from Sacramento, California, in the Triple J Towing, Burkhardt Financial, Harris Distributing, C&H Veteran Enterprises. That is the 101 of Caleb Henry. In the 15C from Sandusky, Ohio, the Kenworth of Cleveland, Fleet Financial, Ohio Truck Works. That's Chris Andrews in the 15C. Behind him from Hanover, Pennsylvania, the Dynatech Controls, PhilPools.com, Thrivian. That is the 17 of Dylan Norris. And the 14 from Fayetteville, Tennessee, in the PTC Driving Academy, Able Roofing, C6 Auto Body, that is Sean Rahal in the 14. And heading out of turn number 2 from Queensland, Australia, in the new Trent Holmes, NAPA, we're still trucking the 66 of Ryan Newton. Ryan Newton in the 66. Behind Newton in the from Rawson, Ohio, the Golden Flavor Sesame Sticks, King Cold Meats 98. That's Ricky Peterson Jr. And in the 13, from Locust Grove, Oklahoma, in the Pella Avanti Window and Doors Big Spring Car Wash. That's the 13, making his All-Star Circuit of Champions debut. It's Dason Pursley. Rising Sun, Maryland, in the Hefner Racing Enterprises Rapid Tire A1 Mulch Arts Custom Machine Shop. That's the 27 of Steven Snyder Jr. Behind Steven Snyder Jr. from Terre Haute, Indiana, in the Platinum Lawn Care, Kaiser Wheel, Simpson Race Products, B&M Power Coating. That is Bryce Norris in the 37. That will be the cars hitting the Speedway here for group number 1 of Hot Laps.
I believe Steven Snyder's debut here at the Eldora Speedway as well, so it'll be fun to keep an eye on what he can do. Graduate of the 600 micros, that kid stands on the gas.
Snyder made his first ever All-Star feature event at Millstream, then made it again last night running hard before heartbreak for Snyder. As Chris Andrews goes top of the board, 13.707 for Chris Andrews. Cal Thomas now 13.437 for Thomas Pursley, 13.437. So 13.437 for Dason Pursley now puts him tied for the top. As checkered flag will wave here on your first group. So quickest so far, Dason Pursley 13.360, Cal Thomas 13.437, Caleb Henry, Chris Andrews, and Steven Snyder Jr., your top 5. And you mentioned Steven Snyder Jr.'s debut. He looked really good the first 2 nights, making the first 2 All-Star features of his career, now going 5th quick in the 10 cars that were out there, and those are no slouches in 10 cars.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about, your background in Central Pennsylvania. That's one of the famed cars that comes out of that region. So a talented kid, but definitely a lot of pressure when you jump behind the wheel of that car because it's expected to run up front, and it's a good piece.
A lot of pressure, especially, let's look. This will be a 9th start in a 410. And 9 starts already has a win coming at Tri-City during Western PA Speed Week. So to think about it, 9 races already have a win under your belt. So in that case, it was about race number 6 with a win. And we saw the talent that has Western PA because most of those guys come out here for Ohio Speed Week. And that's pretty impressive for a 20-year-old to go ahead and, take a win from Western PA especially.
I know, of course, with the Indiana scene, of course, the Pennsylvania scene on the micros, and even now out in the mid-states, it's such a great breeding ground for the youngsters. We see so many of them come out of the 600s and either jump in the wing cars or go in the USAC midgets or sprint cars or just a local Indiana sprint cars. It's such a great breeding ground for these kids, and when they jump into the 410s, they're ready to go.
So the next cars to hit the Speedway from Franklin, Indiana in the WCI Incorporated Klossmeyer Petrie Motorsports Inferno Armor. That's the 27 of Emerson Axum. Behind Axum from Jonestown, Pennsylvania, the Moose's LZ Bar and Grill, Heavy Equipment Loaders and Parts, Milton Hershey School District. That is the Jonestown Jet of Brock Zierfoss. And behind Brock Zierfoss, a 2-time winner back-to-back. He's your current Speed Week's point leader from Findlay, Ohio. The STP Motorsports Big Red Truck Wash, Smith Titanium. That is the 32 of Bryce Lucius. And in the 48 from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, in the Gary Kaufman Racing, Weikert Livestock, SpeedwayCars.com. That's Double D, Danny Dietrich in the 48. In the 19 from West Plano, Texas, in the BCI Dental and Medical, Advanced Cast Stone, Crown Battery. That is TJ Michael in the 19. From Hobstadt, Indiana, in the West Side Automotive, Angler Machine and Tool, that's the 12S of Aiden Schmidt. Aiden Schmidt in the 12S. From LaGrange, Ohio, in the Mr. Heater Heat Star Cherries Outdoor World, the 11N of Casey Jedrzejek. And the final car on the Speedway from Republic, Ohio, the second in points right now, Jeff Ward Demolition, Premier Planning Services, Elliott's Custom Trailer and Cards. That's Cap Henry. So that is your final group of cars here in qualifying of Flight A, as Jedrzejek off the pace in turn 3 and 4. So problems for the 11N of Casey Jedrzejek. He'll pull in to the pits here. And hopefully the 11N can get the car back up and rolling to get out for qualifying. So we'll get these cars fired up, ready to go, back at it. Still Dason Personally, 13.360, top of the boards. Can anyone break into the top 5 here before qualifying? Cap Henry goes 4th, quick 13.509 for Cap Henry. Emerson Axum up to the 5th quick time, 13.516, as Bryce Lucius now stopped in turn 3 and 4. As right rear off. So you actually see the shrapnel in turn number 3 and 4. So tire debris in 3 and 4 for your 2-time winner this Speed Week in Bryce Lucius.
So those at home on Flow and on the big screen, you can see where it kissed the concrete over there in 3 and 4. Eldora safety right on the scene for the driver who's been dominant in the first 2 completed legs of Ohio Speed Week. Looks like he's climbing out of the car, so he's going to make that long walk over to the right-hand side and try to assess the damage. So definitely not the night he was looking to get started here on night number 3.
And you look, it's been the tale of 2 races for him. Opening night that we actually got racing in, he had to maneuver through lap traffic and also get around drivers like Cap Henry and Tim Schaefer for the win. Last night, Cap Henry was closing in every time he hit lap traffic, but every time he got to lap traffic, caution flag waves, and he basically said that was cautions came out at the best time to help him secure the win.
So unfortunately going to have to go off on the business end of the wrecker there. So we'll see if we get that car spun around and get a little better of a look there. So as you mentioned, Persley doing double duty right now. Good in hot laps for the All-Star Circuit of Champions. Emerson Axum, we talked about a great field, kind of one of those invaders here tonight in the top 5.
When you talk about Emerson Axum and Dason Persley, you look at the resume they've had in their young career of winged sprint cars. Neither one of them have yet to make an appearance with the All-Stars, tonight being the first ever appearance for both of those drivers. And it's going to be intriguing here, you know, our qualifying heat races point system, it's a little bit, you basically can call it's a Knoxville without passing points. You get points for your qualifying, you get points for your heat race finish. Top 6 in points will end up in the dash. The rest in transfer spots will end up lining up based off those point system. So it's one of those, qualifying does mean something, yeah, 4-car invert as well. So you start on the final transfer spot basically of your heat race, but you have to at least pass a few cars if you want to lock into the dash.
So keeping an eye on Eldora safety there. They kind of walked pretty far back behind the 32, so I suspect maybe that Hoosier let loose as it maybe got into the, before the center of the corner, and the end result was it getting into the concrete. We'll see if we can get a good look of it here, as it definitely exploded in a major way. damage didn't look to be too severe, so it will go back to the crew for the driver who's picked up 2 consecutive headed in tonight's activities. So be a quick turnaround for time trials here. So talked about some of your PA drivers. Of course, cool to see Brock Zierfoss, who's kind of on a pick and choose schedule this year. He's got a ton of laps here at the Eldora Speedway.
Yeah, it's nice to see Brock, especially we saw him when we went to Lincoln and to Williams Grove, but now it's a different car. It's back in the family-owned car, but he is running for points at Williams Grove and Port Royal in the Rich Eichelberger-owned number 8. But then when he has chances, he comes out with the 3Z. So sadly, I think he'll be here tomorrow, and then he'll probably head back to run Williams Grove and Port Royal Friday and Saturday. Danny Dietrich, on the other hand, everyone knows Danny Dietrich's here for the whole long haul of Ohio Speed Week. He loves to come out here every year, but he had still avoided him. That Speed Week championship has still avoided the 48.
Yeah, he's kind of in it to win it every year, showing up here. So see what Double D can do. Looks like green flag's back out here on this warm-up session.
So Cap Henry and Emerson Axon, the only 2 from this group to break into your top 5 so far here. Still Pursley, Thomas, and Caleb Henry, your top 3. Brock Zierfoss now top of the board, 13.182. Cap Henry now actually with a 13.182. Brock Zierfoss, 13.253 for Brock Zierfoss. Zierfoss now goes 13.177. So Brock Zierfoss, as checkered flag will wave here on your final group here for Group A of qualifying. Brock Zierfoss 13.177, Cap Henry 13.182, Emerson Axum, Jason Pursley, and Cale Thomas, your top 5. So that will do it for hot laps for Group A of qualifying. You see crews getting their cars set before they come out for their time trials.
So Lucius 32 back to the trailer there. So we'll keep an eye on that one, see if he can get a time here in Group 1. Eldora Safety coming out, scratching some of the dirt off the walls. So it'll be just a minute here. 50-50, $1,341. Current pot. Of course, if you're in the state of Ohio and watching on Flow, Eldora5050.com, you got to be in the state, but you can procure your ticket that way. So hopefully get a nice 50-50 split here this evening. So going to be a couple of minutes here before we get going with qualifying, so hang tight. We're going to pay some bills here at the Eldora Speedway. We'll be back on track here in just a moment. Welcome back to Eldora Speedway. It's just about ready to go with time trials for the All-Star Circuit of Champions for group number 1. As you see down on the victory stage, the Do It Hewitt banner is down there. If you're on the grounds, I've got some great news for you. That victory lane banner is up for auction here tonight. Somebody's going to take that baby home. So how you do that is you go down to the base of the tower right next to the Earl and Bernice statue. There's a piece of paper down there. You put your information, your phone number, and your bid. So somebody's going to start out. You can start at $1. You can go Price is Right, but somebody's going to jack it up. So if you want the Do It Hewitt banner here tonight, head down to the base of the tower, put your information, put your dollar amount. If you're the winner, we'll get a hold of you. And I'll bet you if you ask nicely, Jack Hewitt will probably even autograph that baby for you as well. So somebody's going to take that thing home. And the money that is raised goes to the Eldora Speedway Foundation as well, so that's a win-win. So once again, if you want to do it, Hewitt, head to the base of the tower, place your bet, and we're going to go qualifying with the All-Star Circuit of Champions right now.
2 cars to hit the racetrack. First one from Queensland, Australia, in the new Trent Holmes NAPA Lewis Hill Trucking. That's the 66 of Ryan Newton. Also on the Speedway from Fairland, Indiana, in the Rudzik Excavating Centerline Boring Smith Titanium AL Driveline. Behrman Racing Shocks FK Rod Ends. That is Cale Thomas. Cale Thomas in the 49X. Cale Thomas, a one-time winner with the All-Star Circuit of Champions. 14 top 5s for the 49X as well. Ryan Newton's first time, 13.503. Newton in 3 races, a top 10 at Lincoln Speedway. Cale Thomas goes 13.177. Second time for Newton, 13.483, so Newton goes second quick here out of the first 2 cars. Second time for Cale Thomas, he'll improve 13.092. 13.092 for Cale Thomas. Ryan Newton second quick. Next 2 cars to hit the Speedway. He's currently second in the All-Star Circuit of Champions point standings. Triple J Towing, Burkhardt Financial, Harris Distributing, C&H Veteran Enterprises, Valvoline, FK Rod, and Spearman Racing Shocks. That's the 101 of Caleb Henry. Also on the Speedway from Hanover, Pennsylvania, the Dynatech Controls, PhilPulls.com, Caribbean 17, it's Dylan Norris. Dylan Norris in 22 starts has 5 top 10 for the All-Star Circuit of Champions, as Caleb Henry goes 13.271. First time for Dylan Norris, he'll go 13.638. Caleb Henry, 5 races, 1 win with the All-Star Circuit of Champions. He will not improve as he goes 13.294. Second time for Dylan Norris. He will not improve, 13.661 for Dylan Norris, his second time. So Cale Thomas still top of the board. Next on the Speedway from Rawson, Ohio. Golden Flavor Sesame Sticks King Cold Meats. That's the 98 of Ricky Peterson Jr. Also on the Speedway from Fayetteville, Tennessee, in the PTC Driving Academy, Able Roofing, C6 Auto Body, the 14 of Sean Rahal. Sean Rahal got his first career All-Star top 5 correction. That happened Friday night at Mill Street. First time for Peterson, 13.661 for Ricky Peterson Jr. First time for Rahal, he'll go third quick, 13.463 for Sean Rahal. Second time for Peterson, 13.627. Second time for Rahal, he will go 13.402, but stay third quick for Sean Rahal. Next on the Speedway from Rising Sun, Maryland, in the Hefner Racing Enterprises, Rapid Tire, A1 Mulch, Arts Custom Machine Shop, Stinger Race Fuels, Ryder Race Engines, the 27 of Steven Snyder Jr. Also on the Speedway from Sandusky, Ohio, the Kenworth of Cleveland, Fleet Financial, Ohio Truck Sales, the 15C of Chris Andrews. Chris Andrews, a winner with the All-Star Circuit Champions at Attica. And again, Steven Snyder Jr., his 9th career 410 start with 1 win already under his belt. Snyder goes third quick, 13.341 for Steven Snyder Jr. Andrews goes 4th quick, 13.354. Second time for Snyder will improve, 13.326, but still third quick. Second time for Andrews. He'll go to second quick, 13.244 for Chris Andrews. Next on the Speedway from Locust Grove, Oklahoma, the Pella Avanti Windows and Doors Bay Spring Car Wash, making his All-Star Circuit of Champions debut. That is Dason Pursley in the 13th. Also on the Speedway from Terre Haute, Indiana, in the Platinum Lawn Care, Kaiser's Wheels, Simpson Race Products. That is Bryce Norris in the 37th. First time for Pursley. He'll go fourth quick, 13.273 for Dason Pursley. First time for Norris, eighth quick, 13.626. Second time for Dason Pursley. He'll go second quick, 13.200 for Dason Pursley. Second time for Norris, 13.503. He'll hold on to eighth quick. Next on the Speedway from Gibsonburg, Ohio, in the Real Geese Salehouse Decoys, KJ Sales and Services. That is Craig Mintz. Craig Mintz in the 09. Also from LaGrange, Ohio, in the Cherries Propane, Heatmeyer Concrete, Team Line 'em Up, Sips and Such Social House. That's the 11N of Casey Jedrzak. Craig Mintz, 2 wins with the All-Star Circuit of Champions. First time for Mintz. He'll go 13.455, 7th quick for Craig Mintz. First time for Jedrzak. He'll go 12th quick, 13.779. Second time for Mintz. He'll go 7th quick still here, 13.492. Second time for Jedrzak, 13.630. Kel Thomas still holds quick time, 13.092. Here in Capital Custom Trailers qualifying. Next at the Speedway from Republic, Ohio, in the Jeff Ward Demolition Premier Planning Services, Elliott Custom Trailers and Carts, Tony Elliott Foundation. That's the 33W of Cap Henry. Also from Hofstadt, Indiana, in the West Side Automotive, Engler Machine and Tools. That's the 12S of Aiden Schmidt. Cap Henry, 8 total wins with the All-Stars. He'll go second quick, 13.190 for Cap Henry. First time for Schmidt, 13.693. Second time for Cap Henry, 13.170. He'll improve his time, but not his position. Second time for Schmidt, 13.729. Next from Franklin, Indiana, in the WCI Incorporated, Klaasmeyer Petrie Motorsports Infernal Armor. That's the 27 of Emerson Axum. From Memphis, Tennessee, in the Mike's Pole Care Stinson Industrial Center Farms 40, it's Howard Moore. Howard Moore making his 3rd All-Star start of his career. Emerson Axum, his first ever All-Star appearance. First time for Axum. He'll go second quick, 13.155. 13.155 as Moore goes 13.617. Emerson Axum's second time. He will not improve, 13.181. Howard Moore, second time, 13.518. So right now, Sean Rahal in the invert bubble here. This next cars to hit the Speedway from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, the Gary Kaufman Racing Weikert Livestock Speedwaycars.com. That is Double D, Danny Dietrich. Also on the Speedway from West Plano, Texas, in the BCI Dental Medical Advanced Cast Stone Crown Battery. That is TJ Michael. Danny Dietrich, 21 career wins with the All-Star Circuit of Champions. First time for Danny Dietrich, 9th quick, 13.446. First time for Michael, he will go 13th with a 13.511. Danny Dietrich, second time. He'll go 8th quick, 13.377 for Danny Dietrich. 13.504 for TJ Michael. So now Danny Dietrich puts himself right on the cusp of the invert bubble here with just a handful of cars left to go. 3Z from Jonestown, Pennsylvania, the Moose's LZ Bar and Grill, heavy equipment, loaders and parts, Milton Hershey Schools. That is Brock Zierfoss. Brock Zierfoss, 4 career wins for the All-Star Circuit of Champions, 26 top 5s, 57 top 10s for the Jonestown Jet. Brock Zierfoss's first time. He'll go second quick, 13.123 for Brock Zierfoss. Brock Zierfoss now puts Steven Snyder Jr. on that 8th spot for the inversion. Second time for Zierfoss will not improve, 13.146. So Bryce Lucius will not make it out for his qualifying time. But taking home quick time in group number 1 with a 13.092 from Fairland, Indiana, the 49X of Cale Thomas. So your second group of qualifying getting ready to get pushed out for their hot laps and then their qualifying. As there you see on the screen, Bryce Lucius's crew still working on that car, so might have been a lot more damage than we expected.
Yeah, unfortunately, I believe the rear end paid the ultimate price there for the shunt into the fence there. So tough break for them, but crew going to work on that one. So he'll have to roll the sleeves up and get to work a little bit later in heat race competition. So session 2 getting ready to come out for their warm-ups before we go qualifying. We got a bunch of great lap sponsors here for the Jack Hewitt Challenge presented by Rosewood Machine and Wisebridge Wealth Management. So we'll try to sneak some of them as the night comes across. I'll get the first 5. Lap 1 was Ralph's Muffler Shops, Coyote Concrete and Excavating, Hayes Collision and Restoration. Lap 2, Rosewood Machine and Tool. Lap 3 again was Ralph's Muffler Shop. Lap 4, Jim's Canvas LLC. And lap 5, in memory of Ralph Wilkie, some guy named Ryan Newman and Rich and Angela Booker. So cool to see Ryan Newman supporting the Eldora Speedway. And looks like Group 2, session number 1 out on the Speedway. Here we go.
In the 6, in the Western Mountain Incorporated BJD Motorsports, that's a Hunkletown kid of Ryan Smith. In the 7N, from Adrian, Michigan, in the Flush Portables, Daddy Bears, L&M Properties, Poor Racing, Rhino Racing, Level Utilities, that is Darren Nida in the 7N. From Tiffin, Ohio, in the Level Utilities, Fremont Auto Parts, Linder Speed Equipment, the 29, that is Zeth Sabo. From Kokomo, Indiana, in the Indy Race Parts, Garrett Racing Engines, the law firm, that's Parker Price Miller in the 71. In the 22, from Evans City, Pennsylvania, the Superior Tank and Trailers, Ravens Trailers, Rustler Sales and Services, the 22, that's Brandon Spithauler. Going into turn number 1 and 2, from Alvida, Ohio, and Ohio Logistics, Truckworks of Ohio, Debbie and Doug Ludwig, Kaiser Racing Wheels, the 15K, that's Creed Kemenal. From Enod Valley, Pennsylvania, the Schauhaus Landscape Construction, McFarland Lumber and Pallets, Bobby Clark Racing, the 38, that's Leighton Wagner. And the 5AU, from Adelaide, Australia, in the Kaiser Wheels Slade Shocks GW Racing, that's Brock Hallett. Brock Hallett in the 5AU. And in the 17 GP from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, the Michael Dutcher Motorsports, Lifestyle Homes, Parallax Motorsports, MPV Logistics, that's a Steel City Outlaw, Tim Schaefer. Green flag will wave here. Parker Price Miller, 14 seconds, now 13 second of Darren Nida. Ryan Smith, 13.839. Parker Price Miller, 13.393 for the 71. checkered flag will wave here. Parker Price Miller 13.393, Ryan Smith 13.585. And Parker Price Miller looked really impressive there in his hot lap session.
No surprise that the Potent Indy Race Park 71 quickest here so far. Good run for young Darren Knight, a fourth generation racer in the 7N, fourth quick. Be interesting to see what Schaefer, a lot of laps here at the Eldora Speedway. Of course, the 17 GP, Michael Dutcher comes from Indiana. He's got a lot of laps here as a car, mainly in USAC competition, but we'll see how their night goes as well as we get out to group number 2. A lot of talent here in the pit area this evening.
Group number 2 making his season debut with the All-Star Circuit of Champions from Circleville, Ohio, and the Ohio Heating, Helms Construction, Gressman Power Sports. That is the 22C of Cole Duncan. And the 22M from Britain, Michigan in the Oshwegan Speedway GSR chassis. That is Dan McCarron. Dan McCarron in the 22M. The 20B from Struthers, Ohio, the JS Bova Excavating Pro Quality Demo Southeastern Equipment. That's Cody Bova. From Tempe, Arizona in the SCR Machine Bird Racing Johnson Built Concrete. That's Sterling Kling in the 34. From Raymond, Washington in the CEI Crane and Rigging Sterrett Services DB Power Washing Premier Pallet 45. It's the Daredevil Devin Borden. Bradner, Ohio, the Fauci Farms, Industrial Movers, S&S Hauling. That is Nate Dussel in the 1. Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania, the A1 Towing and Recovering, Selinsgrove Ford, Ben Kahn, attorney at law. That's the 33 MW tonight of Mike Walter. And in the 4, he's your current points leader from Plymouth, Indiana, the Premier Planning Services, A to Z Mechanical. That is Zane DeVault. And from Apollo, Pennsylvania, the Ferguson Heating and Air Conditioning Fence Before Maintenance Service. That is AJ Flick in the 2. AJ Flick making his season debut with the All-Star Circuit of Champions and his first ever career start here at Eldora. Nate Dussel up to 4th quick as now Mike Walter goes 13.510. He'll go 2nd quick. Zane DeVault up to 3rd quick, 13.547. Nate Dussel now 13.484. He'll go 2nd quick on the board. So checkered flag is out. So Parker Price Miller holds on to quick time here in Group B of hot laps. Nate Dussel, Mike Walter, Zane DeVault, and Ryan Smith, your top 5. Now these cars will roll into the pits and get ready for Group B of Renegade Custom Trailers qualifying.
So taking a look at the big screen there, Bernie and the boys getting that 71 ready for PPM. You can see work continues on the Lucius 32 there as well. So looks like the new rear end has been placed in that machine. So good news for them is the non-wing heats will be up first, so should be able to have enough time at least to get that thing ready to go for heat race competition a little bit later here this evening.
And we joked about it off air about the wing switch, and now you see Brock Searfalls now has the black wing on.
Oh yeah.
And it was an older thing. Guys, you know, if you ask some of the legends, they always ran the clear, you know, just straight up chrome wings, a little lighter for qualifying. Kyle Larson brought it back about Volusia time this year. Everyone was concerned. Everyone didn't know what was going on. He goes out, sets quick time multiple times in a row. And now all of a sudden, everyone's coming back with the lighter wings. Because, you know, even if it gives you an extra tenth, it's an extra tenth.
Well, of course, Young Money's kind of famed for not being a very good qualifier in that 57 car. So when they went quick time, everybody in the world was just jumping up and down trying to figure it out. And if you've been around this sport for a hot minute, it's definitely a monkey see, monkey do pit area sometimes. So as you mentioned, somebody saw it. Well, we got to do that. And then next thing you know, if you're in the wing business, life's good because you're selling a whole bunch of extra wings. The qualifying special. So 50-50, $2,169. Once again, if you're just making your way into the facility, that Do It Hewitt, Jack Hewitt Challenge. You can get that banner, head down to the bottom of the tower, and there's some information to write down your bid amount, what you want to pay for that. That's going to look pretty cool in someone's man cave and or shop in garage. Once again, 50-50. You can see Eldora5050.com if you're here on the grounds. You can pitch it if you're at home as well. In the state of Ohio, go to Eldora5050.com and you can pick up your 50-50. Somebody's going to have to win tonight. Looks like the first two here getting ready to come out for qualifying for the All-Star Circuit of Champions here at Eldora.
And on the Speedway from Adelaide, Australia, the Kaiser Wheel, Slade Shocks, GW Racing, that's the 5AU of Brock Hallett. Also on the Speedway from Benton Ridge, Ohio, and the DMC Hydraulics, Ohio Logistics, Miller Customs, that is Greg Wilson. First time for Brock Hallett. As he'll take the green. Wilson goes 13.705. His first time for Brock Hallett, he will go 13.614. Brock Hallett set quick time last night at the Wayne County Speedway. Second time for Wilson, he'll go 13.510 up to the top of the board. Second time for Brock Hallett. Not improved, so Greg Wilson, quick time 13.510. Next cars to hit the Speedway. Kokomo, Indiana, in the Indy race parts, Garrett Racing Engines, the 71. That's the law firm, Parker Price Miller. From Adrian, Michigan, in the Flush Portables, Deddy Bears, L&M Properties, Bohr Racing, Rhino Racing, Level Utilities, STP Motorsports, Slurski Excavating, and Paving, that's Darren Knight in the 7N. Parker Price Miller, 3 All-Star wins, 45 top fives for Parker Price Miller. He'll go top of the board, 13.223 for Parker Price Miller. Darren Knight, a second quick, 13.297 for the 7N of Darren Knight. Second time for Parker Price Miller will not improve, 13.259 his second time around. Second time for Knight, he will not improve either, 13.325. Next on the Speedway from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, the Micro Dutcher Motorsports, Lifestyle Homes, Parallax Motorsports, MPV Logistics. It's the Steel City Outlaw of Tim Schaefer. Also on the Speedway from Alvida, Ohio, and the Ohio Logistics, Truckworks of Ohio, Debbie and Doug Ludwig, Kaiser Racing Wheels, Banshee Graphics, Mac Media, the 15K of Creed Kemenal. Tim Schaefer. 66 All-Star wins for Schaefer. He'll go fifth quick, 13.768. Creed Kemenal, fifth quick, 13.716 for Creed Kemenal. Schaefer, a 4-time All-Star champion, a 3-time Speedweek champion. He will go 13.676. Kemenal goes 13.677. So Parker Price Miller and Darren Knight still your top two here in qualifying. Next two to hit the Speedway from Kunkletown, Pennsylvania, the Western Mountain Incorporated, DJD Motorsports. That's the Kunkletown Kid of Ryan Smith in the 6. From Evans City, Pennsylvania, in the Superior Tank and Trailer, Ravens Trailer, Rustler Sales and Services, Hobart Auto Parts. That is Brandon Spithaler in the 22. Ryan Smith's first time third, quick 13.470 for Ryan Smith. First time for Brandon Spithaler, he'll go 13.710. Second time for Ryan Smith, he'll improve, but stay third, quick 13.326. Second time for Brandon Spithaler, he'll go fifth quick, 13.554. Next two to hit the Speedway from Tiffin, Ohio in the level utilities, Fremont Auto Parts, Linder Speed Equipment. That is Seth Sabo in the 29. And from Enon Valley, Pennsylvania, the Shellhouse Landscape Construction, McFarland Lumber and Pallets, Bobby Clark Racing, Watkins Turf Care, Karski Security, Shop Angry Duck. That's the 38 of Leighton Wagner. Seth Sabo with 32 appearances with the All-Stars, 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s. Wagner's first time 13.896. Seth Sabo 13.725. Second time for Seth Sabo 13.571 will put him 7th quick. Leighton Wagner's second time 13.878. So with Seth Sabo's time puts him 7th quick, knocks Krieg Kemenal out of the invert. Next on Speedway, from Bradner, Ohio, in the Fauci Farms Industrial Movers, S&S Hauling, VRF Specialties, Barrier Fabrication. That's the one of Nate Dussel. Also from Struthers, Ohio, in the JS Bova Excavating, Pro Quality Demo, Southeastern Equipment Center Kebab Sub Shop, SP Tech. That's Cody Bova in the 20B. First time lap for Dussel. He'll go 4th quick, 13.372 for Nate Dussel. First time around for Cody Bova. He'll go 6th quick, 13.551. Cody Bova 6th quick. Nate Dussel second time. He'll go 13.338. Second time around for Cody Bova. He'll improve, but stay 6th quick with a 13.532. Next two cars to hit the Speedway from Britain, Michigan and the Oshweek Speedway GSR chassis. That's the 22M of Dan McCarron. Also on the Speedway from Tempe, Arizona, the SER machine, a Bird Racing, a Johnsonville Concrete, the 34 of Sterling Kling. Sterling Kling making only his 2nd start with the All-Star Circuit of Champions. McCarron in 27 races, 1 top 10. McCarron goes 13.689. Sterling Kling now 7th quick, 13.551 for Sterling Kling. 22M of McCarron's second time, 13.724. Sterling Kling's second time, he'll go 13.483. Next on the Speedway from Circleville, Ohio, in the Ohio Heating, Helms and Construction, Reisman, Power Sports, Wolf Composites. That's the 22C of Cole Duncan. And from Raymond, Washington, the CEI, Crane and Rigging, Starrett Services, DP Power Washing, Premier Pallet, Baker Mobile Transport, Triple X Race Cars. That's the Daredevil, Devin Borden. Cole Duncan's first time, he'll go 5th quick, 13.432 for Cole Duncan. Devin Borden's first time, he'll go 12th quick, 13.607. Second time for Duncan, 13.474. Second time for Borden, he'll go up to 5th quick, 13.427. Next to hit the Speedway from Apollo, Pennsylvania, the Ferguson Heating and Air Conditioning, Fence Before Maintenance Services, Male Pistons. That is AJ Flick in the 2. And from Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania, the A1 Towing and Recovering, Selinsgrove Ford, Bank Con Attorney at Law. That is Mike Walter. Mike Walter in the 33 MW. AJ Flick, 51 appearances with the All-Stars, 1 top 5, 6 top 10s in his career against the All-Star Circuit of Champions. Mike Walter, 9 races with the All-Stars, best to finish 23rd at Grandview. First time for Walter, 11th quick, 13.564. AJ Flick was 14th quick on his opening lap. Second time for Flick, 13.558. Mike Walter, second time around, 13.583. 12th quick for Mike Walter. The final car to hit the Speedway from Plymouth, Indiana, in the Premier Planning Services, A to Z Mechanical, All Mobility, Duff's Bar and Grill, Deschler Lanes, Islander in Watt Performance, Handy Graphics. That's the 4 of Zane DeVault. Zane DeVault in the 4, your current All-Star Circuit of Champions points leader. 1 top 5 in his career. That came opening night at Fremont, and 4 top 10s with the All-Stars for Zane DeVault. First time lap for Zane DeVault. He'll go 9th quick, 13.525 for Zane DeVault. Second time lap for DeVault. He'll go up to 5th quick, 13.405 for Zane DeVault. But quickest there in qualifying flight number 2 in this Indy race part 71, the law firm Parker Price Miller, 13.223. So quick time overall tonight, taking home the Capital Custom Trailers Quick Time Award. The 49X from Fairland, Indiana, Cale Thomas. 13.092 for Cale Thomas. He'll take home his first quick time of the year.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Eldora Speedway for the Jack Hewitt Challenge presented by Rosewood Machine and Wisebridge Wealth Management. I have Jeff and Cindy Hellman with me. Let's give them a warm Eldora welcome, our title sponsor here tonight. And guys, welcome to Eldora, and thank you so much for not only what you do here at Eldora, but the local racing scene in general.
Yeah, first off, thanks to all the fans for being here on a weeknight. I know you got to work tomorrow, but what a great show you're going to see. And Rosewood Machine has been involved with Eldora here for the last few years with several programs. We just, this place is special, and enjoy it tonight. We thank you for all for coming. Thanks.
Jeff, thank you very much. And Jeff, I've got one question. Eldora Speedway, do you think Jack Hewitt's got time for an interview? Let's find out. Let's give Eldora Speedway's favorite son a warm welcome. How about it for the one and only Jack Hewitt? Jack, my friend, welcome back to Eldora Speedway. How cool is this that this race is back at a racetrack that is so famous for you and also what you've done for this place?
Well, you know, the first two Hewitt Classics, I think, was in Attica. Then they went to 2 at Kokomo, and I don't know, 17 at Waynesfield. Now I'm home. And it's an honor. I mean, just, you know, I was just thinking in 1971, my dad lost his eye here in May. So they had Don Hewitt night. What a nice Jack Hewitt night. It might be a few years later, but it's still worth every minute.
I tell you what, back at Eldora, how cool is it that Dason Pursley's running both classes? I mean, that's true Hewitt style.
Well, you know, that's what makes it special, you know, when you got the guy, and if they say, well, I've never driven one or I can't drive one, you know, then you're not going to. But hell, the first time I ever come here in the late model, Charlie Swartz said, get in my backup car. No hot laps or nothing. We went out and had 12th quick time at the World 100. So he's got the right attitude, you know, jump in anything, anytime, and it makes you a better driver in any kind of race car.
Well, I tell you what, you're absolutely one of the best to ever do it, and especially here at the Eldora Speedway. Race fans, how about it? He's back home. We are happy to have him. Put your hands together for Jack Hewitt. At this time, we'll bring Savannah and Abby, Miss Eldora, with us here. And they'll be around the grounds as well. Don't forget, all social media they're on, so if you want to keep up with their escapades not only tonight but throughout the season, keep up with Savannah and Abby. At this time, I'd like to bring my good friend Mike Unger up here, our track chaplain, and Mike will lead us with prayer here this evening. And Mike, as always, sir, an absolute pleasure to share the stage with you here at Eldora. The Lord has absolutely blessed us with a beautiful day to go racing, but before we do that, let's turn to him.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day you've given us, and we thank you for everybody here. We especially thank you for the men and women like Jack Hewitt that have pioneered to make this sport what it is and to give us all this good time that we have here at the racetrack, Lord. And Lord, I especially thank all the first responders and the men and women who fight to keep us safe and to give us the freedom to be here and do what we all love to do. So Lord, just cover everybody here with protection as they leave tonight and give us a good night of racing. And all this we pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Mike. Please remain standing as Caitlin Tollefson will sing tonight's national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare
How about at Eldora Speedway? Put your hands together for Caitlin Tollefson. Well, it's about that time to kick off tonight's racing program, but before we can do that, I got to ask that simple question. Eldora Speedway, are you ready to go racing tonight? Not bad, not bad. But Jack Hewitt on the grounds. It's the Jack Hewitt Challenge. One more time, let her rip. Eldora Speedway, are you ready for the Jack Hewitt Challenge? Awesome. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Just a few minutes away from kicking off tonight's racing program.
Welcome back to Eldora Speedway for the Jack Hewitt Challenge presented by Rosewood Machine and Wisebridge Wealth Management. The first of 4 8-lap heats for the non-wing sprint cars. Ready to rip. We'll go ahead and look at starting lineup. On the pole of Dillsboro, Indiana will be Zach Lamb in the 73. Alongside him, Columbus, Ohio's Trey Osborne in the 6T. Row 2, inside Loomis, California's Max Adams, starting in the Harry 21 tonight. Alongside him, the quick qualifier Group 1. Double duty for Locust Grove, Oklahoma's Dason Pursley. Row 3 on the inside, Kingsburg, California's Cody Swanson, the 9X. Alongside him, Lima, Ohio's 2DI Dustin Ingle. Final row, Derek Hastings out of Forest, Ohio, the 33M. And Austin Corey out of Morristown, Indiana. 8 cars, 8 laps, top 5. Go to the show. Winner of this one will start on the pole of the main event. Rick will show them 1 to go. Lights are out. 8 cars, 8 laps around the Eldora Speedway. It's a great day for a race, as Jerry Gappens once said, and we're ready to do it here tonight at the Big E. Green flag in there. We're off and racing heat number 1. Field, we're thunder down into 1 and 2. Trey Osborne right now shows the way. Top 5 go directly to the A. Everybody else headed to B. 1 in the books. Osborne out front. Dason Pursley sits in that 2nd spot. Right now, Dustin Ingle on the bump. He rides 5th early in the going. Just 8 laps tonight, so you got to get it done in a hurry. Pursley closing in on Osborne. He'll try to put a slider on him. He will. He'll clear new leader here at Eldora. As Locust Grove, Ohio's Dason Pursley in the Avanti 86 shows the way. So the winner in sprint car competition at the 4 crowd shows the way early. Now, about the midway now. In fact, halfway. 4 down, 4 to go here. Heat race number 1. Ingle and Lamb right now run for that 4th and 5th spot. Cody Swanson, as we talked about, picked up that win Saturday night at Gateway. Silver Crown competition right now on the outside looking in. Cody doesn't make a lot of non-wing starts. Usually a handful through the season. Right now he's on the outside looking in. Two to go, this time by for Pursley. And it's nothing but smooth sailing for the driver. The only one on the property doing double duty here tonight. Got about a 2-second advantage over the Columbus, Ohio native Trey Osborne. White flag in there, 1 to go here, first heat of the night. Everybody kind of minding their P's and Q's here in heat race number 1. So the driver that rolled off 4th will pick up the first checkered flag of the night. Dason Pursley picks up heat race number 1. Trey Osborne comes home 2nd, Max Adams 3rd. Dustin Ingle across the line 4th, and Zach Lamb will get that 5th and final transfer spot. Cody Swanson in the 9X6, Dustin Hastings 7th, and Austin Corey rounds out your field. So the 5th and final transfer spot once again will be Zach Lamb, the 73. 4th will be the 2DI of Dustin Ingle. 3rd, the 21 of Max Adams. Your runner-up, the 6T of Trey Osborne. And the Avanti windows, Eldora Speedway put a nice hands together. For the driver out of Locust Grove, Oklahoma, driving the 86, it'll be Dason Pursley. Heat 1 in the books. Heat 2 getting ready to roll out here in just a second. Barney Craig in the Eldora Ford pickup will bring the field to life. Once again, 8 cars, 8 laps, top 5 go to the A main. Let's go ahead and look at the starting lineup. Making his Eldora debut on the pole out of Greencastle, Indiana. That's Cale Coons in the 63. Alongside him, another youngster out of Greenfield, Indiana, the 1G. It's Rylan Gray. Row 2 on the inside, Cincinnati, Ohio's Sabin Bybit, the 98. Alongside him out of Bloomington, Indiana, the 24M. Your quick qualifier in this session, Hunter Maddox. Row 3, the versatile driver out of Clark Lake, Michigan, the 49, Brian Ruhlman. Alongside of him, another veteran racer out of Wapakoneta, Ohio, the 33 of Mike Miller. Final row, the youngster out of Frankfort, Indiana, Jack Hoyer. And alongside of him, out of Russia, Ohio, the 23D, that'll be Bryce Dews. 8 cars, 8 laps, top 5. Go to the show. So your pole sitter, Cale Coons, finds his rightful spot. Lights are out. All 8 answer the bell. 50-50 at 28-28 right now. Once again, it's Coons in gray, front row. Bybit, Maddox, row 2. Ruhlman, Miller, row 3. Hoyer and Dews out back. 8 quick ones. The winner of this one. We'll start outside row number 1 for the 20-lap affair. Part of the Jack Hewitt Challenge, presented by Rosewood Machine and Wise Bridge. Here we go. Green flag. We're back racing at the Big E. Maddox and Bybit get a little crossed up on the front straightaway. No harm, no foul. Everybody rolls off at turn number 2. Cale Coons might have the honor of leading his first lap at the Eldora Speedway in his first start. He shows the way. Rylan Gray, one of the up-and-coming racers out of the state of Indiana, the 2025 Little 500 Rookie of the Year, runs in the 2nd spot, and that car looks to be a little bit of a handful. Maddox in the 3rd spot, Bybit 4th. Brian Ruhlman sits in that 5th spot. Mike Miller, Jack Hoyer on the outside looking in here early in heat race number 2. That curve 63. The famed Coons Racing family leading laps here at Eldora. So far, no missteps for the youngster. Halfway, 4 down, 4 to go. Front 4 remain the same. Right now, Ruhlman holds on to the 5th spot. But Jack Hoyer picked up a win at Lincoln Park Speedway this spring. Starting to close in a little bit. Front 2 have broken away from the rest of the field. Best battle on the racetrack right now, shaking up between the 49 and the 11. So youngsters right now dominate heat race number 2. Off at turn number 4 this time. White flag in the air. Can Cale Coons seal the deal and pick up a heat race win here at Eldora? Meanwhile, that battle now rages on split screen. You see the 11 of Hoyer and Ruhlman gone at it. We got problems. Hoyer up into the fence big time. Hate to see it. Challenging hard for that final spot. And gets up into the fence. Eldora safety now on the scene to check the driver out of Frankfort, Indiana. So once again, Eldora safety team tending to the driver of the number 11. Very hard lick for the likable young man out of Frankfurt. And Eldora Speedway looks like Jack climbing out of the car under his own power, and that's the most important part of that whole equation down there in turns 1 and 2. So tough ride for the youngster, but able to exit the car under his own power, and that's good to see for the driver of the 11. So red flag here for the first time at Eldora. I believe safety crew is also making sure the fence okay in turns 1 and 2. Family car, wrenched by his father, Chris Hoyer. And looks like Jack gonna get checked out. But the good news, Jack able to climb under that car under his own power. So once again, under red flag here at Eldora. For those watching at home on Flow, we're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll be back in action here in just a few minutes.
Since their 2001 inception, DMI Racing Components have changed the game. From open-wheel suspension, steering, and driveline components to their line of Bulldog quick change rears, they set the new standard for innovation, performance, and value. DMI and Bulldog products are backed by the best customer support in the industry with more than 150 years of race-winning experience. Let our experience help guide you to victory lane. We race, you race. Let's race together.
Welcome back to Eldora Speedway. Hard crash there just before the checkered flag in heat number 2. So safety doing a little fence repair over there. We talked about some of the great sponsors here for the Jack Hewitt Challenge, presented by Rosewood Machine and Wisebridge Wealth Management, including our lap sponsors. We'll pick up on lap number 6. That was Fast Signs. Our friends at St. Henry Nightclub got lap number 7. Of course, Lone Star Pawn Shop, a long time sponsor of the Jack Hewitt and many of the teams in the area, was lap 8. Ham Signs, lap 9. And lap number 10 was A1 Affordable Tree and Lawn Care in memory of Charlie Kuhnwald Sr. and Aesthetic Finishes as well. We talked about the event shirt available for, as you can take a look here on the big screen, and at home is the front end just absolutely destroyed on the family-owned car, and I believe the car was pretty new, so I hate to see that, but most important part of that was that the driver able to exit the car under his own power. So we talked about event shirts here. Eldora swag available as well. Cody Swanson, Dason Pursley have got merch trailers on the grounds as well. And if you want to get that Jack Hewitt Challenge, Do It Hewitt banner. As I went downstairs for opening ceremonies, there was all types of bids already down there. Nothing too crazy on that. So go down there, see where it's at. I don't know the current level of it, but if you like it, enough, maybe you can put enough money and take it home with you here this evening. So once again, safety crew is doing a little fence repair over in turn number 2. So we're just a few minutes from getting back to conclude heat race number 2 here tonight. So back here at Eldora once again, getting ready to go to yellow flag conditions. Cale Coons is going to be a restart leader in the 63. Rylan Gray second. Hunter Maddox will restart third. Sabin Bybin fourth. Brian Ruhlman, who was being challenged by Jack Hoyer before the incident there in turn number 1, will be in that fifth and final transfer spot. Mike Miller and Bryce Dews should round out your field. Once again, big thank you to all the lap sponsors. I know I've hit the first 10. We've got them up on the big screen here as well. So back to yellow flag conditions here. Once again, Cale Coons been flawless so far in the 63. So he'll be the restart leader here after the red flag. So working on a lineup here. So my partner in crime has said the bucket list has been checked. Pizza burger has been consumed. Spicy cheese balls, check that one as well. He's got a big smile on his face. So apparently, it's lived all that he thought here at the Eldora Speedway. EldoraSpeedway.com for our next event, Kings Royal week coming up here in July. Tickets still available. Go to Eldora Speedway, get your seat locked in. Going to be a big, big crowd expected for that one. Rick Monroe will show the field 1 to go here. Barney Craig will dip down the infield. So one of the crown jewels coming up here, our next event, the Eldora Speedway. Once again, EldoraSpeedway.com for all of your tickets. World 100 right around the corner. 4 crown, shifting to 3 days this fall. I'm excited about that. Of course, Dirt Track World Championship will be back. If they let me and Essex work together one more time, I'm not sure how that's going to pan out. But here we go, white flag in the air. Bybin not able to get fired. And the 98 looks like he loaded it up, and that stacked up everybody behind him. The big loser in that was Brian Ruhlman. So Mike Miller, the veteran, trying to capitalize. He's in the final transfer spot. He's got the white flag, 1 lap to go here in heat race number 2. So Ruhlman on the outside looking in here in heat race number 2. Meanwhile, young Cale Coons in his Eldora debut. Just got to get it through 3 and 4, 1 final time. And he is a heat race winner. Great job by him. Rylan Gray second. Hunter Maddox goes to the show, Sabin Bybin fourth. A little old age and treachery on the behalf of Mike Miller on that restart will get him the 5th and final transfer spot. Headed to the B main will be Bryce Dews in the 23D. Brian Ruhlman will come home 7th. And of course, Jack Hoyer. That hard lick over in turn number 2 will be credited for number 2. So how about it, Eldora Speedway? The legendary Coons name. The next generation gets the job done. Put your hands together for the 63 of Cale Coons. Pretty cool stuff to see. When you're old like us, you remember that kid being about, I don't know, knee high. Levi had a big smile on his face. I know Jerry's a hot mess. I'm not sure where Amy is right now, but I'm sure big smile. Cool to see. Heat race number 3, getting ready to roll out onto the racetrack. Here is your scheduled lineup. The veteran out of Pleasant Hill, Ohio, the 23S assignment entry. That'll be Matt Westfall alongside of him. Fenton, Michigan, that is Steve Irwin. Row 2 on the inside, the youngster out of Elwood, Indiana, the 21 Double B, that's Bo Brandon. And alongside of him, the big dog out of Troy, Ohio, the 1 agents, Corbin Hazlett. Row 3 on the inside, West Harrison, Indiana's Nathan Carley. And the 14C alongside of him, another Michigan racer. He hails out of Williamston, Michigan, the 25, that's Max Frank. Final row out of Morgantown, Indiana, in the second 24 entry for Maddox. That'll be Jake Scott and Brian Hedekamp out of North Star, Ohio in the 22. 8 cars, 8 laps. Top 5 go to the A main. So lights are out. Barney Craig will duck down the infield. A pair of veterans on the front row. It's Matt Westfall and Steve Irwin. So we got Ohio and Michigan. Row 2, Bo Brandon, Corbin Hazlett, some youth and exuberance. Nathan Carley from West Harrison right across the line there. Cincinnati area. Max Frank, Jake Scott, Brian Heatkamp. 8 cars, 8 laps. Rick's keeping a close eye on him. Great flag in the air. We're racing here at Eldora. On the break, everybody looking for a little room to operate. Watch on way up over the cushion in 2. That was Heatkamp, but we stay green. No harm, no foul. Looking pretty sporty here. Heat race number 3. Westfall leads. Irwin second. Hazlett right there in 3rd. Bo Brandon 4th. Nathan Carley top 5 right now. Oh, Hazlett bikes the car, gets a little snug there in 3 and 4, puts it back down. A little evasive action for the flying 0 of Irwin. That will allow Matt Westfall to step into that Simon 23 this year to sneak away a little bit. So Westfall, no stranger to the Eldora Speedway, a former late model track champion. He's got laps here in the modifieds as well, kind of like Brian Ruhlman. Silver Crown experience galore for the versatile driver. Drive anything with 4 wheels at a pretty quick clip. For the veteran Matt Westfall, he shows the way here in heat race number 3. Hazlett second. Irwin starting to lose touch with your leaders a little bit. Bo Brandon looking pretty solid here tonight. Lead his Eldora debut in the 4th spot. As we talked about earlier, a lot of these kids come out of the 600 micros. That driver making his transition to the 410 sprint cars. Carley right now, 5th and final transfer spot. Max Frank, Jake Scott, Brian Heatkamp. Round out your field. Westfall sneaking away here. 2 laps to go. The advantage over Corbin Hazlett at the line. About a solid 2nd. Battle still heating up for that 3rd spot, but white flag in the air for Matt Westfall. Simon 23, long time campaign sprint car for the Ohio family. They'll take the Ohio driver and they'll start 3rd tonight. Matt Westfall dominant here in heat number 3. Corbin Hazlett 2nd. Battle at the line for the 3rd spot. It's going to be Steve Irwin, Bo Brandon, Nathan Carley, Max Frank, and Brian Heatkamp. And at the line, there was problems for Jake Scott there, the 24. He'll duck it down to the infield. So the 5th spot will go to Nathan Carley, the 14C, Bo Brandon, the 21 Double B 4th, Steve Irwin in the 0 3rd. Unofficially, of course, Corbin Hazlett in the 1H 2nd, and picking up the heat race win out of Pleasant Hill, Ohio. Put your hands together for the veteran in the 23S. It's Matt Westfall. Final non-wing heat of the night, getting ready to roll out here at the Jack Hewitt Challenge at Eldora Speedway, presented by Rosewood Machine and Wisebridge Wealth Management, will look like this. Scheduled to go on the pole out of Snohomish, Washington, aboard the 83C, it'll be Chance Crum. To the outside of him out of Piqua, Ohio, aboard the family 21B, it'll be Ryan Barr. Row 2 on the inside, flying the Hoffman colors, the 69 out of Martinsville, Indiana. That'll be Nick Bilby. And alongside him out of Guilford, Indiana. Great qualifying effort for Sean Westerfeld in the 4J. Row 3 on the inside out of Goodyear, Arizona, aboard the number 6. That'll be Logan Calderwood. And outside him, the Goshen, Ohio racer of the number 9, Dustin Weber. 4th and final row on the inside out of Greenfield, Indiana, the 00. That is Noah Whitehouse. And out of Camarillo, California, starting shotgun on the field, it's ripping Ricky Lewis in the 41. 8 cars, 8 laps, top 5. Go to heat, final heat of the night for the non-wings.
So Barney Craig will sneak down the infield, the Eldora Ford pace truck. Final heat of the night, Crum and Barr, Bilby, Westerfeld, Calderwood, Weber, Whitehouse, and Ricky Lewis. Keep your eyes on the 41. So we talked about 11 feature wins headed into tonight's program. Been very dominant on the West Coast. Looking to get his first Eldora checkered flag here tonight, but he's gonna got some work to do. And the game is afoot down into 1 and 2. And Lewis quickly up to the 5th spot. Good start for the California native. Meanwhile, Washington State's Chance Crum will show the way here in the final heat of the night for the non-wing cars. Barr 2nd, Bilby 3rd, Westerfeld 4th. Lewis gets a good run. He'll turn underneath Westerfeld, and Bilby trying to go 2 for 1, not able to clear him. Ducks back in line. Meanwhile, Crum will sneak away. Barr doing a good job, sits in that 2nd spot. Great battle, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They worked their way off at turn number 2. Lewis will look inside of Bilby. Thought he was going to put the slider on him. Made a liar out of me, 6 to the bottom. And he'll take over that 4th spot. So Bilby now back to the bump. Lewis not done yet. Started 8th. Got a few more cars in his crosshair. Meanwhile, Chance Crum's gone. Here, final heat of the night. All eyes on Ricky Lewis. Now Calderwood closes in on Bilby a little bit. So getting into the 2nd half of the final heat of the night, Lewis continues to work on the Fist Cheshire Owen 4J. Just about dead even. Not able to clear him. In fact, now the 41 starting to huff a little smoke out of the left bank. It's out the right bank. You get excited, left bank. Probably just pushing a little excess oil out. We'll keep an eye on that. Now the right side starting to throw a little smoke. So maybe some engine woes for the 41 machine. So Chance Crum shaking things up, going to the black and red 83 this year. Dominant here. Final heat of the night. Keeping an eye on Lewis up to the 3rd spot, but that thing is huffing some smoke. Off the turn number 4 for the final time. Chance Crum will start 4th tonight in the Jack Hewitt Challenge for the non-wings. Ryan Barr, good run. Ricky Lewis, 8th to 3rd. Good effort, Sean Westerfeld. Nick Bilby gets that final transfer spot. Logan Calderwood 6th. Dustin Weber 7th. Noah Whitehouse crosses the line 8th. And just like that, the final heat of the night in the books. Nick Bilby will go to the main event. He'll come home 5th in the 69. Sean Westerfeld in the 4J 4th. Ricky Lewis from 8th to 3rd in the 41. Ryan Barr, your runner-up in the 21B. And out of Snohomish, Washington, Eldora Speedway, put your hands together. Your heat race winner, the 83C, that's Chance Crum. So non-wing heats in the books. We'll turn our attention to the All-Star Circuit of Champion heat races. 4 big ones here tonight. I believe 8 laps the distance. And we are ready to go with round 3 here at Eldora for the All-Star Circuit of Champions.
And just a heads up, your current points leader, Bryce Lucius, scratched for tonight's events. So that will throw a curveball into your Speedweek points. 4 heats, top 5 going on to the A main later here tonight. Heat race number 1 brought to you by Premier Planning Services. At Premier Planning Services, they understand that every client has a unique needs, and they pride themselves on their ability to tailor to their services and those needs. Whether you want the right health insurance or want to understand your Medicare options, they are here for you. For more information, visit pps4u.com. Heat race number 1 on the pole from Sacramento, California, the Triple J Towing, Card Financial, Harris Distributing, C&H Veteran Enterprises. That is Caleb Henry. To the outside from Locust Grove, Oklahoma, the Pella Avanti Windows and Doors Big Spring Car Wash. The 13, that's Dason Pursley. On the inside from Franklin, Indiana, and the WCI Incorporated, Klossmeyer Petrie Motorsports. That is the 27 of Emerson Axon. To the outside from Fairland, Indiana, the Rudzig Excavating, Centerline Boring, Smith Titanium, AL Driveline, Behrman Racing Shocks. That is Cale Thomas. Starting in the 5th spot from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, in the Gary Kaufman Racing Weikert Livestock Speedway Cars. That is Double D, Danny Dietrich. to the outside of row number 3 from Gibsonburg, Ohio. In the Real Key Stillhouse Decoys, KJ Sales and Services, that is Craig Mintz. Starting 7th from Terre Haute, Indiana in the Platinum Lawn Care. Kaiser Wheels, that's a 37 of Bryce Norris. Starting 8th from Memphis, Tennessee, the Mike's Pool Care. Stinson Industrial, the 40 of Howard Moore. In your final row from LaGrange, Ohio, the Mr. Heater, Cherry's Outdoor World, Cherry's Propane. That's the 11N of Casey Jedrzak. And starting in the 10th spot from Hobstadt, Indiana, Westside Automotive, Engler Machine and Tools, that's Aiden Schmidt. That is how heat race number 1 will line up. So 4 heats, top 5 going on to tonight's A main event. Caleb Henry, Jason Persley on the front row. Green flag will wave. Turn 1 and 2. Caleb Henry going to lead him as Axum goes inside. Jason Persley with a run on the top side. Down the backstretch they will go. Caleb Henry goes inside. Axum goes a line higher. He'll try and go to the outside here on Caleb Henry. Side by side Axum. Going to have the second, third spot. There's battle for the race lead is Persley and Caleb Henry, as now Persley gets it. Car in the wall hard. That is Aiden Schmidt. The 12S of Aiden Schmidt into the wall hard in turn 1 and 2. And driver is okay. So a hard hit there from the driver from Hobstadt, Indiana. Only his second All-Star race. So 1 lap in, Jason Persley, your race leader, Caleb Henry, Emerson Axum, Cale Thomas, Danny Diedrich, your top 5. It was an action-packed first lap there. Emerson Axum made a move right off the get-go, trying for the race lead. Lost some ground down the backstretch, but Caleb Henry, Jason Persley, you look at the drivers just in this heat race. California, Oklahoma, Indiana, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, and Tennessee in Howard Moore.
Yeah, it was interesting. I kind of keep an eye on the 27, kind of made the crossover. Just thought maybe Cale Thomas was just going to get in him on the front straightaway, but both youngsters able to keep their foot in it as they hustled down 1 and 2, as you mentioned. Just kind of a wild start into 1 and 2, and unfortunately, the driver of the 12 car, don't think he got upside down. Just kind of a pirouette as he got into the fence and spun it around. The youngster out of Hobstadt, Indiana. That is a bucket list track that you need to get down to as well. Helfrich family does a great job. I know that youngster's cut his teeth down there. Made a lot of laps. Unfortunately, probably going to guess night potentially could be over as that car's pretty well tore up. But most important part of that one is able to climb out of the machine, and we go back to yellow flag conditions. 50-50 right now, $3,652. But as you mentioned, just kind of a great field. As you mentioned, the 40 car making the trip from Tennessee. Young Bryce Norris out of the Terre Haute, Indiana area.
And for those Indiana fans watching, we do have a swing in Indiana this year. We go to Bloomington and Paragon in August. The only trip we won't take again this year is into a region is Central PA, really. We go to Western PA with Mercer, Latrobe. We go to New York with State Line and Freedom, first ever trip to Freedom. Go to Michigan twice at Hartford and I-96. Indiana swing, and then, of course, a lot more racing throughout the season in Ohio.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of centralized in that Ohio area. Just kind of filling a neat gap. Great to have the All-Stars back. It's, well, now will the trip to Bloomington and Paragon be your first venture to either one of those facilities?
It will.
All right, yeah, the red clay, beautiful Bloomington Speedway. Paragon Speedway has had a lot of improvements over the last few years. Indiana, of course, very rich with sprint car action. Hey, the cone has made an appearance for the first time.
Our Truck Works of Ohio start cone. Another great sponsor with the All-Stars, as well as some drivers from Ohio.
He's got the rope on it, though. Like when Essex was here for Castrol for Flow Night, they made him run out and get it. So I was worried about my buddy Essex there, but it looks like this guy, no bueno. He's just going to yank it and bring it back in.
Yeah, I've seen a few too many cones hit growing up. So.
Oh, cone abuse is real. I mean, it's a thing. So. So yes, Kubota Flow Night. My apologies. Dustin will probably yell at me later on a text. All right, here we go. Lights are out. Let's get back at it here at Eldora.
Dace Pursley going to lead us back to the green flag. Pursley leads into 1 and 2. Here comes Dietrich to the inside on Cale Thomas. Slide job for your 4 spot. Danny Dietrich takes over the spot over Cale Thomas. Emerson Axon now closing in on the 101 of Caleb Henry. Not going to get by for second. Caleb Henry holds on to your second spot. Bobbles a little bit there in turn 1 and 2. Axum still right there for your second spot. Dason Pursley pulling away here early on in heat race number 1. Dietrich still holding off Cale Thomas. 49X of Cale Thomas holding on to your 5th and final transfer spot. Danny Dietrich in 4th. Dietrich gonna need to gain a few more positions if he wants to become in one of those top 6 points right now. But out in front, Dason Pursley in control. Caleb Henry in 2nd. Emerson Axum in 3rd. Cale Thomas falling back a spot. He's 5th. But out in front, with 3 laps to go, it's Dason Pursley. Howard Moore, you see, holding off the 37 of Bryce Norris. Craig Mintz in the mix there. 3-car battle for 7th, 6th through 8th. As Pursley leads the way. This time by white flag will be out for the 13 of Dason Pursley. Caleb Henry still in the 2nd spot. Then it's Emerson Axum. Danny Dietrich, Cale Thomas. They're holding on to your final transfer spots, but taking home his first career All-Star heat race win. Dason Pursley wins heat number 1. Caleb Henry, Emerson Axum, Danny Dietrich, Cale Thomas to tonight's A main event. We'll talk about the drivers starting that finished in 1st and 3rd. Dason Pursley, Emerson Axum, both in their first career All-Star appearances and both making it to the A main.
And Pursley, the only guy to do a double duty, wins both heats. So pretty impressive for the Locust Grove, Oklahoma native.
Heat race number 2 is a gorgeous sunset here at Eldora. Heat race number 2 brought to you by All Pro Cylinder Heads as the industry's leader in small block Chevy aluminum heads plus Gen 3 and Mopar W9RP designs. All Pro is the go-to choice for racers demanding precision and performance, whether you're into sprints, super late models, drag racing, off-road, marine, or road racing. All Pro delivers the perfect design for your needs. Learn more at allproheads.com. Heat race number 2 on the pole from Rising Sun, Maryland. The Hefner Racing Enterprises Rapid Tire A1 Mulch Arts Custom Machine Shop. That's the 27 of Steven Snyder Jr. To the outside from Sandusky, Ohio, and the Kenworth of Cleveland, Fleet Financial, Ohio Truck Sales, that's Chris Andrews in the 15C. Starting at third spot from Republic, Ohio, Jeff Ward Demolition, Premier Planning Services, Elliott's Custom Trailers and Carts, Tony Elliott Foundation, Primal T Shop, the 33W of Cap Henry. Starting in the fourth spot from Jonestown, Pennsylvania, the Moose's LZ Bar and Grill, Heavy Equipment, Loaders and Parts, Milton Hershey School, that's the Jonestown Jet of Brock Zierfoss. Starting in the fifth spot from Fayetteville, Tennessee, in the PTC Driving Academy, Able Roofing, C6 Auto Body, that's the 14 of Sean Rahal. Starting outside of row number 3 from Queensland, Australia, in the New Trend Homes, Napa, Rudis Hill Trucking, the 66, that's Ryan Newton. Starting in the 7th spot from West Plano, Texas, in the BCI Dental and Medical, Advanced Cast Stone Crown Battery, that is TJ Michael. Starting in the 8th spot from Rawson, Ohio, the Golden Flavor Sesame Sticks King Cold Meats, that's Ricky Peterson Jr. Starting 9th from Hanover, Dynatech Controls, RealPulls.com, Rivian 17 of Dylan Norris. And the schedule to start in the 10th spot, in Findlay, Ohio, the STP Motorsports Big Red Truck Wash, Smith Titanium Jocko Sprint Parts, X1 Race Cars, that was supposed to be the 32 of Bryce Lucius, but again, Bryce Lucius scratched for tonight's event.
So as you mentioned, the current point leader tonight is over, which means there'll be a shakeup in Ohio Speedweek points going into tonight's event. We'll take a look at the drivers currently sitting in the top 10.
The All-Star Circuit of Champions points, Zane DeVault still leads the way here over Caleb Henry. Danny Dietrich in third, not running full-time, of course. Darren Knight, Devin Borden, Cody Bova, Brandon Spithaller, Creed Kemenal, Cap Henry, and Greg Wilson, your top 10. And we talk about drivers making moves. Darren Knight looked really good in qualifying. We'll see him later on in his heat race. But it'd be really impressive as here we go, Ohio Speedweek points. So 8 points separated Bryce Lucius, Cap Henry. Zane DeVault, Tim Schaefer, Danny Dietrich, your top 5. Brandon Spithaller, Cody Bova, Brock Hallett, Creed Kemenal, and Sean Rahal, your top 10.
So Cap Henry going to put himself here in a good position if he has a good night here for Speedweek points. As you mentioned, Nida, the young man, as we talked about, comes out of the 600s. Of course, his dad was a longtime 360 410 racer in Michigan and Ohio as well. So great racing family.
So, of course, only one heat race. 5 guys are locked into tonight's A-Main. So those 5 guys are the only guys possible to be in the dash out of that. And it's Dason Pursley, Emerson Axum. Those are your top 2 points over Cale Thomas. And here's where qualifying means something, but also your heat race finish means a lot too. Dason Pursley with 492. The perfect score is 500 points. So Dason Pursley, very impressive, only 8 points short from that perfect score between qualifying and heats. Emerson Axum at 490, he was only 10. But then you look, Cale Thomas went quick time. He's at 488, so right now he's sitting 3rd in points after one heat race, of course. That's unofficial, but that's how those top 3 look. And again, it shows qualifying means something, but you also have to pass cars in your heat race if you want to get into tonight's dash.
Yeah, I do believe Thomas came home 5th there in heat race number 1. I'm sure he wanted to clip off a few more cars. So lights are out here, heat race number 2, getting ready to go green here at Eldora, this time off at turn number 4.
Steven Snyder Jr., Chris Andrews. Chris Andrews with 1 career All-Star win. That was at Attica for an Ohio Speedweek show about 10 years ago. Steven Snyder Jr., again, this is his 9th career start. Green flag is out here in heat race number 2. A very good start for Brock Zierfoss. He's going to try and go to the outside here on Andrews. Zierfoss gets to the outside, and he'll go up to 2nd. Cap Henry now to the inside here on Andrews. He'll get by for your 3rd spot. Steven Snyder Jr. leads the way, with Brock Zierfoss closing the gap very quickly on your race leader. TJ Michael now closing in on Chris Andrews. Ray Hall now as well closing in for that transfer spot. Right now, Michael holds on. Here comes Rahal now to the inside. Tried to go to the inside, now goes outside here in turn 1 and 2. That's your battle for your transfer spot. Held right now by TJ Michael. Sean Rahal closing in. Rahal, winner at Butler Motor Speedway on Saturday night, correction. And right now, trying to make another A main here in Ohio Speedweek. Out front is still Steven Snyder Jr., but Rahal not going away from TJ Michael. Rahal going up top here, yet still Michael. Goes for a slider line, holds on. Up front, Cap Henry closing in on Brock Zierfalls, but Rahal still right there as that battle for the final transfer spot in the closing laps already, and Cap Henry still closing that lead on Brock Zierfalls for second. So battle for second and third, battle for your final transfer spot as well. Rahal gets a little loose there on the corner. Now going to try a cut down line in 3 and 4, trying to close back in. And here comes a 66 of Newton. Newton now goes to the inside here on Rahal, tries to slide up, not going to get by. Cap Henry closing in as white flag out for your race leader, Steven Snyder Jr. Snyder Jr. in his first 2 career All-Star appearances, he made the A main, and now through 3 and 4, Steven Snyder Jr. in only his 3rd All-Star appearance, he wins a heat race. Brock Zierfalls takes home 2nd, Cap Henry 3rd, 4th going to go to Chris Andrews. TJ Michael going to hold on to your 5th spot. So what a run by the 20-year-old from Rising Sun, Maryland, Steven Snyder Jr. in only his 3rd ever All-Star appearance, taking home a heat race win. Brock Zierfalls, Cap Henry, Andrews, and Michael going on to tonight's A main. Newton, strong run. He'll come home in 6th. Rahal 7th. Peterson, Norris rounds out your field.
So no surprise, the youth movement in sprint cars continues on here at Eldora Speedway. We saw Dason Pursley pick up a win, and then now Steven Snyder gets one as well. So see what heat race number 3 has in store here. But a good run there for a couple of Pennsylvania-based cars there. They go 1-2 in heat race number 2, and it looks like heat race number 3 getting ready to get pushed out onto the surface.
Heat race number 3 brought to you by Adaptive One Caliper. Upgrade your braking system with Adaptive One brake calipers. These high-quality direct fit replacements feature an advanced E-coat technology for superior corrosion resistance and performance, ensuring safety and style with OE matched colors and easy installation. Again, that is heat race number 3, Adaptive One calipers. Starting on the pole from Circleville, Ohio, in Ohio Heating, Helms Construction, Gressman Power Sports, that's the 22C of Cole Duncan. To the outside, he's your current All-Star points leader from Plymouth, Indiana, the Premier Planning Services, A to Z Mechanical, All Mobility, that's the 4 of Zane DeVolt. Starting in the 3rd spot from Kunkletown, Pennsylvania, the Western Mountain Incorporated, BJD Motorsports, that's the Kunkletown Kid of Ryan Smith. Starting in the 4th spot from Kokomo, Indiana, the Indy Race Parts, Garrett Racing Engines, that's the law firm Parker Price Miller in the 71. Starting in the 5th spot from Benton Ridge, Ohio, the DNC Hydraulics, Ohio Logistics, Miller Customs, W20, that's Greg Wilson. Starting in the 6th spot from Evans City, Pennsylvania, the Superior Tanks and Trailers, Ravens Trailers, Rustler Sales and Services, that is the 22 of Brandon Spithaller. Starting in the 7th spot from Sealands Grove, Pennsylvania, in the A1 Towing Recovery, Sealands Grove Ford, Ben Kahn, Attorney at Law, that's the 33 MW of Mike Walter. Starting in the 8th spot from Tiffin, Ohio, the Level Utilities, Fremont Auto Parts, Linder Speed Equipment, 29 of Zest Sabo. Starting 9th from Alvarado, Ohio, the Ohio Logistics, Truck Works of Ohio, Debbie and Doug Ludwig, Kaiser Racing Wheels, 15K of Krieg Cheminal. And starting in the 10th spot from Enon Valley, Pennsylvania, the Schauhaus Landscape Construction, McFarland Lumber and Pallets, Bobby Clark Racing, Watkins Turf Care, Karski Security. That is Leighton Wagner. That is how heat race number 3 will line up. Heat race number 3, green flag is out. Very good start for Parker Price Miller. Going into turn 1 and 2, Parker Price Miller gonna lead into turn, down the back chute into turn 3 and 4. Parker Price Miller, a great start for him. As Zane DeVault now, he's in the second spot. Battle between Ryan Smith and Greg Wilson, side by side. That's for your 4th spot. Greg Wilson went to the inside. Ryan Smith holds him off, though. The W20 of Wilson goes inside. Leighton Wagner off the pace on the backstretch. Caution flag will wave. So the caution flag out here. Leighton Wagner slowing on the backstretch. And Ohio Speed Week has not been good to the 38 of Leighton Wagner. Motor problems at Millstream. Pulled out the backup car. Ran his heat race, but then just called it a night. Last night, not a bad showing at Wayne County. Spun in a feature event. Comes home still with a very good finish. As he came home in 18th, which was his best all-star finish. But Leighton Wagner just not having the speed week I think he would hope for.
Yeah, absolutely tough break there. It looks like it's come down to the front stretch. Hot pit crew going to take a look at that. I believe no lap scored, potentially. No, yep. There we go. Lap scored. So the law firm, Parker Price Miller, hails from Kokomo, Indiana.
That's because we are not halfway. They do get a mandated, they get a 2-minute work
minutes?
area.
Okay.
As we see, if you check the big screen, they are checking it. So just, as you can tell, the benefit is they might have found it, or they might not have, but they're not rushing around. Because let's be honest, if you rush around and you don't know where it is, you send it back out, you might hurt another motor, and that might end your week before you even start really getting into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Crew kind of looking around like maybe something with an ignition issue possibly with the 38 as it just kind of lost power there. The center of 1 and 2, so the clock is ticking here in heat race number 3. So we talked about the youth. Parker Price Miller, still a young man, but quite a bit of experience. Of course, the guy running in second, a veteran of sprint car racing. Zane DeVault out of Plymouth, Indiana. Not a hotbed for sprint car racing, Plymouth, Indiana, but young man's been doing some racing, and looks like 38 potentially looks to be done for the heat race there. Potentially, not calling for the push truck, so nope, gloves are off, so tough break there.
Well, then you look. So points are updated here. Unofficially, Brock Zierfoss now the top points guy, 495 for Brock Zierfoss. Dason Pursley, Emerson Axum still sitting at 2 and 3. Cale Thomas sitting in 4th, Cap Henry sitting in 5th, both with 488, but Cale Thomas went quick time, so he gets it, the tiebreaker off qualifying times. Steven Snyder Jr. holding on to the 6th spot here in the dash. We'll find out if he can hold on. 2 more heat races here to go, and Parker Price Miller going to lead us back to the green flag. Parker Price Miller leads us into turn 1 and 2. DeVault there had Ryan Smith go to the inside, not going to get by him, and now Greg Wilson closing in on Ryan Smith yet again. Into turn number 3 and 4, slide job for Wilson on Smith. Smith back underneath, here comes Brandon Spithaler now. Spithaler closing in on that battle between Greg Wilson and Ryan Smith. Don't also look Creek Kemenal in the mix as well, possibly closing in on that transfer battle. Creek Kemenal, the 15K, made the show last night, and right now closing in on the 22 of Spithaler as Mike Walter there almost kisses the wall in turn 1 and 2. Spithaler, though, right there with Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith went a little higher than Spithaler into turn 1 and 2. Now Smith goes up bottom side here. But out in front, Parker Price Miller holding the race lead. Cole Duncan, Zane DeVault, Wilson, and Smith still holding on to your top 5. Now here comes Creek Kemenal closing in on Brandon Spithaler. White flag in the air one more time around for Parker Price Miller. Parker Price Miller. Now he went quick time in Group B of qualifying, and out of turn number 4, perfect score for Parker Price Miller. Cole Duncan comes home second, Zane DeVault, Greg Wilson comes home fourth, Ryan Smith holds on to fifth, which puts Spithaler, Kamanal, Zabo, and Mike Walter into tonight's B main. So Parker Price Miller, he goes quick time here tonight and now takes home heat race number 3. How about one more time for the law firm, Parker Price Miller. Three down, 1 to go. Heat race number 4 brought to you by Basil Race Fuels. Distributes racing fuels throughout Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Virginia, Delaware, and Maryland. We can help you find a location to purchase the specific fuel you need. For more information, visit basilracefuels.com. Race number 4 on the pole from Tempe, Arizona in the SCR machine. Bird Racing, Johnson-built concrete. The 34, that's Sterling Kling to the outside from Raymond, Washington. The CEI Crane and Rigging Starrett Services, DB Power Washing, Premier Pallet. 45, that's the Daredevil of Devin Borden. Starting in third spot from Bradner, Ohio, in the Fauzi Farms Industrial Movers, S&S Hauling, the 1 of Nate Dussel. Starting in the 4th spot from Adrian, Michigan, in the Flush Portables, Deddy Bears, L&M Properties, Port Racing, Rhino Racing, Level Utilities, Town Line Variety, 7N, that's Darren Nida. Inside of row number 3 to the inside, that's going to be starting 5th, JS Boba Excavating, Pro Quality Demo, Southeastern Equipment, Seneca Bob Sub Shop. From Struthers, Ohio, that's Cody Bova in the 20B. Starting in the 6th spot from Apollo, Pennsylvania, the Ferguson Heating and Air Conditioning, Fence Before Maintenance 2, that's AJ Flick. Starting in the 7th spot from Adelaide, Australia, Kaiser Wheels, Slade Shops, GW Racing, the 5AU of Brock Hallett. Starting in the 8th spot from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, the Michael Dutcher Motorsports Lifestyle Home, Parallax Motorsports, MPV Logistics. That's the Steel City Outlaw of Tim Schaefer. Starting 9th from Britain, Michigan, the Oshwegan Speedway GSR Chassis, 22M of Dan McCarron. That is how heat race number 4 will line up. And the storylines in this heat race, going to be interesting to watch. You have Sterling Kling, who his first All-Star start was literally yesterday. You have series regulars Devin Borden, Darren Nida. You have AJ Flick with his first trip to Eldora Speedway. And then you have one of the last true outlaws of the sport. We have the outlaws now, the true outlaws in quotes, but Tim Schaefer was pretty much the last true outlaw of it. And he starts in the back. He'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Sterling Kling, a driver that a lot of the Indiana fans are familiar with, done a lot of non-wing racing, kind of transferred over to the wing cars full-time last year. So he's got a lot of laps here at Eldora. We'll see what the Arizona native can do. 4th and final heat of the night for the All-Star Circuit of Champions. Green this time off of 4.
Green flag is out. Devin Borden, very good start for him. He'll go to the outside, go to the race lead. Here comes Darren Nida now. Shot out of a cannon. Darren Nida up to 2nd. The 7N of Darren Nida, the 18-year-old from Adrian, Michigan. He goes 4-2 already, but now has Nate Dussel to the inside, side by side. As now there comes Tim Schaefer. Tim Schaefer already in a transfer spot, as now Sterling Kling goes back to the inside here on Tim Schaefer. Side by side, that's for 4th and 5th. Schaefer goes up the speedway here. He's gonna lose the spot. Cody Bova not far behind. Sterling Kling now holds on to 4. Here comes Tim Schaefer yet again. Another good run for Schaefer out of turn number 2. Devin Borden leads the way. Darren Nida in 2nd, but Sterling Kling trying to hold off Tim Schaefer yet again. They go into 1 and 2. Schaefer going up even higher this time in 1 and 2, and this time he'll get the run down the backstretch as now he takes over the 4th spot from Sterling Kling. Tim Schaefer now up to 4th. Sterling Kling now on the bubble here as Cody Bova closing in on Sterling Kling, bringing AJ Flick as well into that picture. Out in front, it's Devin Borden still leading the way. Darren Nida, Tim Schaefer, who started in the A spot. Schaefer up to 4th, but Sterling Kling has company. Cody Bova slowly inching his way there, but this time by 2 more laps to go for Devin Borden. Devin Borden, Darren Nida, Dussel, Schaefer, Kling, still your top 5. White flag will be out. One more time around for Devin Borden. Borden going to go down the back chute one final time into turn 3 and 4. Taking home your final heat race, it's the Daredevil. Devin Borden, Darren Knight in second, Nate Dussel in third, Tim Schaefer from 8th to 4th, and Sterling Kling takes home your final transfer spot. And we talked about Tim Schaefer being a dangerous one to watch. Goes from 8 to 4 into tonight's show. Devin Borden, he goes in the top spot. Darren Knight, Dussel, Schaefer, Kling going on to tonight's A main event. So we will look quickly. So we will wait for the final points to get updated. As again, Parker Price Miller, he went quick time, he won the heat. He's a perfect score, he's at 500. Unofficially, here is your top 6 going into the dash. Parker Price Miller, Brock Zierfalls, Darren Nida, Dason Persley, Emerson Axum, and Devin Borden. Unofficially, that is your top 6 going into tonight's dash. But that'll also put Kel Thomas and Cap Henry starting in 7th and 8th here tonight.
So, Alex, we're waiting for official word from All-Star officials for the dice for the dash. See what's going on. I know the B main will be coming up for, oh, okay, we got the dice. I see Abby and Savannah down there.